Hello, this is Goto. Welcome back to Feed the Beast. Uh, what is this? Interactions Remastered? Yes. Where I have logged in hungry because I got killed by something. Yay. So today, well, first I'm gonna use the Sigil of Nature's Leech and go over here and eat some trees. Cause, yep, kind of an OP item here from Animus, right? This can eat nature items around you and it will refill your hunger, which is kind of busted. Uh, Need to make sure it doesn't eat my Spectre wood here. Is this thing working? How long has this multi-block been broken? This wood piece here is turned the wrong way, and I'm pretty sure that matters. There it goes. Okay, well, the multi-block is on. How's our mana storage? I think our mana is probably fine. Still have 3,000 buckets. Yeah, no big deal. Okay. Today, since last time, I didn't actually do too much since last time. We did process all of our osmium and rarest metal, so osmium, we can see that's how much osmium we're sitting on currently after processing all of our rarest metal, which was like kind of a lot of rarest metal actually. That took like a long time to process all that, and we didn't get like a horribly high amount of osmium there, so. But anyways, I have put together the alloy blast smelter, so I ended up making HSSG coils and putting those around. And one interesting thing about this multi-block is that it has these concave corners on it, which means we can actually put something here that can interact with two faces of the multi-block at the same time, which is something we've not been able to do before. So we're definitely going to be taking advantage of that. And we are going to be using an interface. Let's go ahead and set up this multi-block. So we have a quad input hatch, and we're going to need an interface and a program circuit card. We'll probably want a pattern expansion card to go with that. And then we will need an input bus. And how big are our recipes? I think we're going to need a bigger input bus than what's it called? Than LV, because yeah, some of these recipes use more than 4 items, right? Like here's one that uses 5 items, and we will be something we're wanting, and there are multiple fluid recipes as well. Okay, so at maximum there's going to be 9 items, so let's just go ahead and make us I'll just make the EV input bus because that's what we have automated. Like, not really a big deal. Also, really quickly looking at this, since we have PBI, I could switch to use the PBI recipe, but like, it's not faster or anything, so I don't know what the incentive there is. It's definitely not easier to make. Cheaper to make? I am not so sure about that either. Alright, so here's our input bus, here is our input hatch, and then we'll just be able to slap our interface right here. It can feed into both the input bus and the input hatch at the same time. Also, right here I have 2 energy hatches just chilling off the same, what's it called over here? Flux point. Though, one thing I just considered is that we could instead have these back here. And then we're going to need a vacuum freezer with this dude set up. So I could then have the vacuum freezer powered on that side as well. So that's what I'm going to do instead. We're going to need, I forget, does this make... It doesn't make any item output, so it only makes fluid output. So we only need the output hatch, and then it looks like we need 1, 2, 3 more of these high temperature smelting casings. And let me just double check on the multi-block structure if there's anything else that can go down here that we don't already have. So we have the energy hatches, we don't need a maintenance case. We have output hatch, input bus. Yeah, there's nothing else we really need down here, so let's just go ahead and throw and the top layer is the same, right? Like, yeah, we can just have a lot of different buses, but because we can use those program circuit cards, we really don't need to mess with that. As far as I know, there's no liquid-only recipes in here, right? Just really quickly gonna thumb through all of these. Hope there were some one-item recipes. But even then, as long as there's a one item recipe, we can use the interface with blocking mode to achieve the recipe. So, yep, okay, no recipes to worry about there. Go ahead and let's put our cards in there. So it's blocking mode, it's allows splitting. This is going to be, this is the alloy blast smelter, which is abbreviated as ABS in GregTech packs that have it. And then back here, oh yeah, we need our high temperature casings. High temperature casing, we need 3 of these guys. It's gonna have to craft 4 because they're crafted in pairs, but this shouldn't take too long to craft. It does need to make like all sorts of random metals, but these are probably things we're going to automate using the ABS instead of using the mixer plus the EBF, because the ABS is going to allow us to basically process dust directly into the ingot. All right. Okay, so there's the high temperature smelting cases. Go ahead and grab those. Plop, plop, and plop, and this should form our multi-block. There we go. Multi-block formed. Heating capacity 5800K Kelvin. We're avoiding nothing. Distinct buses. We will enable distinct buses, but it's not really going to be relevant because that's going to be the only bus. So, okay. And then what this block is making, mostly, not all, but mostly it's making molten metals. And molten metals need to be put into a vacuum freezer to solidify. So I'm just scrolling through random metals here, and you're seeing vacuum freezer, vacuum freezer, vacuum freezer. And some of these even need liquid helium, so we're going to need to do that liquid helium loop that we have set up with with our main vacuum freezer. We're going to need to do that as well over here. So why did I build this so far for my chemical reactors? Whatever, leave room for more chemical reactors, I guess. But anyways, for now, we're not going to need this dirt. I will leave a bit of... I will leave like a hole here just to get down there easily for now. But because I did go ahead and dig this basement out, so here's our space down here to work with. Okay. And let's see, there's our interface. So we're going to be passing most of our things directly from the EBF, or the ABS rather, into a vacuum freezer. So I'm going to need another vacuum freezer. Vacuum freezer. This should craft way faster than our 4 vacuum freezers did last time, just on account of having these elite assembly machines. Like, much faster. Right now it's doing the alloy, and the alloys take quite a long time to make. Alright. Done already. Love to see it. And then frost-proof machine casings. I don't think 28 is going to be enough. The whole multi-block needs 26. Let me see what our multi-block needs here. Do I have the copy-paste tool? Copy... No, I do not have the copy-paste tool. Okay, well, we're going to need a good amount of input and output hatches. Six, 7, 8. Yeah, I think we'll be able to swing this without without having to make more frost-proof machine casings. So let's go ahead and whip this guy up here. Gonna just go ahead and let's dig a hole in the ground here. I'm gonna actually scoot it over by 2 just so we can have some space between our 2 multi-blocks here if we need it. Yes, I want to have a gap of 3 here. Let me get my bigger drill really quick. There we go. Whoops. I guess that's how I got that hole in the ground earlier. I did a digging from up to down while the length was still set to 5. Okay, so here's where our vacuum freezer is going to sit. And I don't know what buses are going to sit for now. Oh, I did think of something funny. Because the inside of the vacuum freezer is empty, theoretically you could power it from the inside using a flux point. Because the inside would be concave, right? Whoops. Okay, that's why we don't hold that tool in the base when we're, you know, building and stuff. Go back to the regular jackhammer. Alright. Are we okay that it's off-center? Yeah, it's not a big deal. Okay, so there's the vacuum freezer. The inside is hollow. I said we want to use the power from over there, so let me see what we're going to run here. I'm going to need some IV energy hatches. Those are going to take a few minutes to cook up, and then we'll need some stellar alloy cables. I think I'll just have this, you know what? I'm gonna adjust this over here. I'm gonna have all the cables run underneath because I don't want a cable running across the lawn. So let's see. Let's have our energy hatches be here and here. So there will be our energy hatches. And stellar alloy cable. We're going to have our energy hatches for this one here and here. And then we are going to need, looks like 2 more pieces of cable to connect them up. All right. There's all the energy set up. Next, we're just going to pipe this over there, but there are a few exceptions, so we don't want to put everything over there. For example, molten bronze. We're not going to make molten bronze in here probably, but if we did, that doesn't have a vacuum freezer recipe. Same for brass. Same for cupronickel, red alloy, tin. Here's something we might want to make in here that we do not want to put in a vacuum freezer. So some of these need a fluid solidifier, and some of them we just want the liquid. So soldering alloy, for example, would be one where we can just toss it in here and get the soldering like liquid instantly. You know, that saves us a trip to the mixer, and it saves us a trip to the extractor afterwards. It kind of does both in one step. So this would be something we would want to be able to melt in here on demand. So in order to get that from here to there, I'm going to use a AE subnetwork. And come on. In the AE subnetwork, it's going to basically be using those filters to put the fluids where I want them to be. So we're going to use a fluid interface here. So that's going to pop on there. That's going to collect the fluids from the alloy blast furnace. And then we're going to have a... Do I have an inversion card? Inverted? Inverter card, that's what they're called. So we'll have an inverter card, so we can set an allow list and a block list. So, straight across from here, this is where we'll have our input hatch for the vacuum freezer. Input hatch, and we're going to need 3 input hatches because we also need to do helium and liquid helium in here. So let's get a 3rd input hatch cooking up. So there is the input hatch. That's where the fluids are going to go for cooling. Then I'd kind of like to do a similar setup to like how I did the helium. So the liquid helium and helium. So let's do a output hatch. 2 output hatches will be perfect. And I'm going to do those like under here. And I'll also do the output bus. Output bus can be an LV output bus right here. So there's our output bus. Then we're going to have our input hatch, and then our output hatch. And we need to do that whole helium crisscrossing dealy-do that we did from the other vacuum freezer, which I'm just going to go over here and just remind myself what I did there, because it was kind of a lot going on. So we have this block here. It has a machine controller. Let me go to Paint and just screenshot this. So it has a machine controller controlling a pump on top with inverted. The pump on top is set to import. And then the interface is set to import helium. Okay. So pump cover settings, it's nothing special here. Let me just put a note from helium interface. All right, and then what is happening here? We have a fluid detector on normal. So this is on the liquid helium output hatch fluid detector normal, pointing at the machine controller. And okay, this is probably important. The input hatch is smaller than the output hatch. So let's see. Input hatch. I don't really have smaller input hatches automated, so I'm just going to throw a EV input hatch over there. Or, no. It needs to be an EV output hatch. Okay. I'll put a regular LV input hatch, and we'll do the EV output hatch. Okay. So getting a little irate at the pump or not the pump, the network just barely being out of range there. So there is our electric pump. We need a machine control cover, which we should have because we got a bunch from taking apart chemistry. And then a fluid detector cover, which somehow we don't have a regular one. I do have the advanced one, but we don't need it, so. Okay, so the output hatch needs to be the bigger one. Come on. I could like go extend the range of this thing, but it's so expensive power-wise. Maybe I'll just put like more antennas around the edges of my bases. My base, yeah, that'd probably be a more sensible way to approach it. So fluid detector, we need a EV hatch. Output hatch. Oh, I already had an EV output hatch. Well then. Okay, so you are going to always you're always going to push your fluid into the input hatch. So the input hatch needs to be here. And these two can point at each other. Then the output hatch needs to point back into this input hatch. This output hatch needs to be helium. This output hatch needs to be a liquid helium only. This input hatch will be facing nothing in particular. I'm just going to face it upwards. On this side, it has a machine controller that is set to 15 inverted. On this side, it has a pump, and the machine controller controls the pump. And the fluid detector is set here, and it is in normal mode. Okay, that should be the setup. And now I can get an interface. I'm going to do a dual interface because we're going to be catching items as well. Dual interface right here. We are going to stock Helium. Helium gas. All right. And then output bus is just going to pipe items directly into the interface. So I can just do a item pipe. Okay, let's do an electrum item pipe because we only have one. All right, there's the item pipe set up. All right, and then where are the input hatch is going to go? So we're going to put a storage bus. Fluid storage bus. And we're basically going to tell this fluid storage bus what not to put here. So we're going to tell the inverter card, and do not put soldering alloy. If we make soldering alloy over here, and etc. Just other things we're going to want to not have. And then we're going to have another storage, fluid storage bus on our interface over here. And this is going to catch basically everything else that we want. So this one will be soldering alloy only. So any other fluids that we want to specifically have in, like, not in the freezer, we need to configure like that. But alright, I think that's kind of all there is to the vacuum freezer then. We got our input and output bus and hatch. Oh, we need an input bus as well. I totally forgot. Ooh, had a big sneeze there. Jeez. Alright, why do I have an extra output hatch? I think that's the one I got from the vacuum freezer, right? And then I need an input bus, because we specifically need an input bus on the vacuum freezer to put a ingot mold in here, because all of these molten recipes are going to need, well, not all of them, but the ones that are going in the vacuum freezer are going to need a ingot mold. So let's make a mold really quick. Do we have one in here? Mold, shape? Nope. Okay. Let's cook up a mold. And then get our file, because for some reason it doesn't know what a file is. No idea what its problem is. Alright, and then for the plate, sure, we can just do the hammer recipe. I could have chiseled it, but I already had that open. So there we go. That's going to work for that, and now we can build the rest of our vacuum freezer. Okay, so vacuum freezer's done. Looking at this, since we're coming underneath here anyways, I might just have this on the bottom. And then I need to redo my configuration here. So soldering alloy. Okay. And same for this guy over here, actually. Let's just do this one on the bottom. And then we can patch this up here, and there won't be cables running through the top there. Alright, let's get some smart cables. And this is going to need to be a sub-network, so I need to make sure these don't connect to our main network in any way. So let me chisel those to a certain color. How many cables do we need? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8. What color do we want to do? We haven't done like lime or green yet. Let's do some green cables down here. Actually, never mind. I just remember we have green in our machines. Oh, well. Alright, so these are now on a subnetwork, and we're going to need to power the subnetwork from somewhere, but for now, this will do. Also, because these are right here, I can easily copy the what's it called? I can easily copy the pattern between these two. So, like, if I want to make, like, let's say blue steel, right? Blue steel. Liquid blue steel you can make in here, and it doesn't go in the vacuum freezer. So we would do, like, blue steel over here. Get my memory card. Copy, paste. There we go. Blue steel is over here. But because the inverter card's not there, I don't have to worry about that. So. And why would we want blue steel, you might ask? Well, blue steel was what I was using to make Lapatrons. Ideally, we would want red steel, but I don't think we can make red steel. We need bismuth. Bismuth bronze. Which, I don't know where we get bismuth. Bismuth. Is that even a thing we can get? Bismuth bronze. It's... Oh, it's from cassiterite processing. I could consider that. Red steel would be good if we need to make more Lapatrons, but for now, that's how that works. Alright. So now we can start setting this up, I believe. Let's get our, multi-block channel set up all the way over here. So how many channels do we have left on this? We don't have that many channels left. Because we don't have that many channels left, I'm just going to pull over... do I want to pull over a non-dense? I'm going to pull over a dense to, like, the edge of the chemical reactors, and then I'm going to split it off to a regular smart cable, so... let me just make a bunch more of those while I'm at it. Alright, there we go. And then from here, I feel like we will just do regular smart cables. So that leaves a couple channels to play with other systems, and then a few channels down here to play with whatever we want. Alright, so this is going to be our ABS interface. This is going to be our ABS output interface. So we don't need to show that one on the interface terminal, because that's just for receiving the outputs. And then, yeah, I think this is good to start doing some recipes over here. Let's go ahead and try some osmiridium. The first recipe that is the bane of our progression right now. Go ahead and patch this up as well. Maybe I'll put another set of elevators over there at some point. So osmiridium. Osmiridium. So to make osmiridium, we're going to look at the molten osmiridium setup. And we're going to notice this takes 4 dust and it makes 4 ingots worth of molten osmiridium. And we also need to have the programmed circuit card in here. Maybe I should just make a whole bunch of program circuits for each. You know what? It sounds kind of silly, but I'm going to do it right now. Hold on one second. Alright, program circuit spam. Let's go. Program circuit 1, 2, 3. You get how this is going to go, right? 4 we already have, so let's make this one 5. And then let's make this one 6. Okay, why do we have multiple 6s? This might be a little bit more challenging to organize than I thought. What happened to 1? What happened to 3 and 4? So there's that, there's 6. Turn you into 3. 4. I probably don't need to do this on camera. You see what I'm doing, right? Alright, and now we have all the program circuits just in our storage, so I can grab them for this. Like, I don't even remember what we're using here. Number 12? One thing of slight despair is that these don't go in a sorted order here, and I can't resort them to be sorted. Like, if I just change the sort style, it doesn't change the order they're in. If I change the sort order, it doesn't give a damn. That's very, very sad. So, yep, we're just gonna Even though we have all these now, we're still going to have to peck and choose the one we need out of there. Anyways, molten osmiridium. So this is not making molten osmiridium. We're going to be just making the molten ingots directly, or the ingots directly. So there we go. This makes 4 osmiridium ingots. So let's go put this in our ABS. And let's try it. Fire it up. Osmiridium. We're missing an osmiridium dust. Sorry, what? Oh, wait, I know why. Osmiridium. Because we still had this recipe in there. Get that out of there. We're not going to be using that right now. Alright. Osmiridium ingot. There it goes. They're crafting up. So we should be able to run over here. There it goes. 90 seconds because it is doing 4 ingots at once. So worth remembering that. And osmiridium also needs the helium setup, right? No, it doesn't need helium. How's our helium situation over here, though? Did that get resolved yet? Do we have helium stocked up? Pick the exact wrong place to drop down at. Why do we not have helium going in here? So we have the liquid tank of helium. What is going on here? Oh, come on, Elytra. You know I didn't want to glide into the ceiling like that. So this is set inverted on the pump. Oh, the pump is set to export still. Okay, import. There we go. Now it should start doing liquid helium. And it's going to be busy doing liquid helium for a while until that buffer fills up. But once that buffer is full, it's going to swap over to the, what's it called? The not liquid helium. Oh, geez, something just occurred to me. Hopefully it doesn't start putting, oh, wait, never mind. I was like, hopefully it doesn't put liquid helium or regular helium into the output hatch, but we're not using this for fluid, so it should be fine. We're not using it for fluid outputs, only fluid inputs. Alright, have you ran? No, you have not ran. Well, you have ran, but the molten osmiridium is currently in this interface here, because I forgot to give it power. So let me find a good spot to kind of join these networks for energy. How about right here? Seems fine. So we're going to use a quartz fiber cable to only connect it for energy. Stick that right there. Stick the smart cable here, and there we go. That should have transferred the molten osmiridium in here. So now that is waiting to craft. It's gonna take a second though, because it has to basically fill up this hatch like halfway before it's gonna be done processing the helium. Let's make sure that process is working right. Also, I took out my place to jump up. I destroyed. It's been raining a lot in my overworld lately for some reason. People whose overworld it never rains in, and they don't realize that their that the configuration is set up incorrectly so that it can't rain in the overworld. Alright, so here we go. We're on the last liquid helium, and it should go to liquid osmium now. But it does not. Why? Vacuum freezer. Molten osmiridium. Molten osmiridium. We have the ink. Oh, I have a plate mold in here. Whoops. Good thing it couldn't actually do anything with that. There we go. Ingot mold. Alright, there we go. And it is now chilling the osmiridium ingots. That is pretty quick. How fast would that have been in the EBF to make 4 of those? So to freeze the ingots, it would take 2.5 seconds each with an IV freezer. So it'd be even faster with the LUV tier freezer. So that would be like Not 2.5, sorry. It'd be 2.5. Yeah, 2.5 with Ivy. So same speed for freezing, I guess. Yeah, it's the same recipe here. I can actually just flip on the other page. But the actual cooking of the ingot, this takes 30 seconds per ingot with argon. But over here, this takes 90 seconds for 4, so it's actually, like, substantially faster. Love to see it. Anyways, Osmiridium ingot. Why did that not trigger a quest update for us? Metallurgy? Can't help but notice you're not lit up here. Oh, osmium ingot? I thought I picked one of those up before. Osmium ingot. There we go. Osmium and osmiridium steps of this quest tree are done. Nice. Cool. Next thing we need for our Aurelia artifact. So we now have the osmiridium. Now we need red matter. So red matter is not really that big of a deal to make. Let me just automate this really quick. Maybe making it in bulk is going to be the problem here. So there's the red matter. We have void matter already, and here is the dark matter. And do we have primal mana? Primal mana. We don't have primal mana, and we don't have deuterium, right? Deuterium. No. Okay, so let's do primal mana in a chemical reactor, and this is an item recipe. So LCR item for the primal mana. It's gonna run like wicked fast. Yeah, that's only gonna take this like 3 or 4 ticks to do that recipe, which is kind of funny actually. Mana dust. Mana dust. We do have that automated already. Okay, and then we are going to need deuterium automated. So deuterium is going to be in a centrifuge, unfortunately. Could also get it from primal enriched eggs, but yeah, we're just going to centrifuge deuterium for now. And does our centrifuge accept fluids? It does. This is a dual interface. Okay, good. All right, let's craft a dark matter. Oh, I didn't put these in the EBF. EBF with fluids. All right, let's craft a dark matter. Vanadium ingot. Okay, hold on. Vanadium. Hot vanadium is just made with vanadium, believe it or not. And we're going to put vanadium ingot there. This is going to go to our EBF fluid. Hang on, actually, EBF, these two aren't using circuits, right? Yeah, so I can actually put those in the other input bus, so I'm going to do that. Which I forgot I broke on accident last episode, and I didn't rename it, apparently. So this is going to be... what is this one called? This is the same thing, except Circuit 1 instead. Because it does accept fluids now. I upgraded it to accept fluids. Actually, this isn't Circuit 1, right? This is a Circuit Setter. Yeah, this is a Circuit Setter. Okay. So Circuit Setter. Alright, let's make a dark matter. The unstable mana is kind of a slow craft here. That was always a slow craft, especially when we're in the HV machines, because we could still make this in the HV machines. This is an MV recipe. 3 minutes at MV, but yeah, it took 1.5 minutes at HV. At least it's only 23 seconds now. And it looks like here it's going to be making some pyrotheum powder? Petrothium powder, whatever it's called. Do we have a battery up here? Oh, we do actually have our battery up here. Let me give this a boost. Alright, and the dark matter should be cooking down here now. Cooking up pretty quickly. Love to see it. So there we go. Dark matter. Ooh. We could make some tools with this thing, I guess. Y'all remember when equivalent exchange was like super popular? But then everyone was like, hey, it's a little too easy though. Alright. So got our dark matter, now let's make red matter. Which with the dark matter is like not really much harder. So it's got to do the void ingot, which was done really quick. Now it's doing the red matter. Alright, red matter. There we go. What can we make with this? Well, we can make red matter tools. And armor, I guess. And I'm not sure I want to make these right now. I mean, I could definitely use some better weapons and tools at some point, but like what I have right now is like totally fine, to be honest. Looking at random things that you can make here. We can use it to, we can liquefy it into liquid red matter. Oh, that's interesting here. We don't actually have we do not actually have an output hatch on our blast furnace, so if we add that, we need to go change our blast furnace. What would this even be used for? The 0-point matrix and liquid draconium, huh? Okay. Noted. But yeah, that gives us some quest completions. Namely here, we get more red matter. Any other quests over here that I haven't claimed recently or looked at? Nothing of any concern, okay. Alright, can go ahead and claim that Spectre Coil from there. Me when it's suddenly time to look at quest rewards that I haven't claimed yet. Digital miner. Ooh, item transfer node. Interesting. Alright, so now the only thing we need for our fusion crafting is, well, we need a chorus flower, which I can just make with a... How do you get a chorus flower? Do you have to, like, silk touch it? I just consulted the Minecraft wiki, and it said you just break them with whatever, and they give you, they're supposed to give you a flower, but here, I don't recall getting that. Let's go out to our friend here. Maybe I didn't actually go up here and break the flower itself. Is that the problem? There we go. Yeah, I guess I needed to break the flower and not the tree. Yeah, that only gives you the fruit if you don't break the flower directly. You can tell I don't play vanilla Minecraft, huh? Alright. Are these used for anything else? Some crystallized obsidian. This isn't obsidian, what the... I guess we could crush it into obsidian, but it's kind of expensive to do that. The chorus flower, and then making more chorus fruit if we wanted. The chorus fruit specifically... Don't know that we have a use for that. Popped chorus fruit? Liquid chorus? What? Oh, this is something we want eventually, the large handy bag. I think it's basically just like ours, except, bigger. Yeah, I think it has more rows here, or it has rows on the side or something. I forget what it's like. Alright, let's get out of here. Alright, so we just need Gaia spirits. And we can make our Aurelia artifact. So for Gaia spirits, to get these, you have to fight the Guardian of Gaia. which is definitely a boss. He's not very difficult, but... And then we'll get Gaia Spirit Ingots. There's no use for those, so we're probably not going to be making these. Shulk me not. Yeah, we don't need those. So yeah, I think we already made the Gaia pylons, right? Yeah, we do have the Gaia pylons. I need a reference how to actually do that, but I don't think that's what we're going to do this episode. I wanted to do one more multi-block, because now that we have this, we can make all of the weird exotic alloys that are needed for all of these multi-blocks. So if we go to like all of these multi-blocks from the Gregicality multi-blocks mod, I'm definitely interested in doing an extruder. So extruder, I don't know what it's called. Extrusion machine. Okay, it's not called an extruder, it's just called the extrusion machine. So this needs a large ultimate item pipes. So we'll need ultimate for that, which we can already make ultimate, so that's not even new. But we need these stress-proof machine casings. And then a bunch of other stuff we already have. So nothing else too complicated. So stress-proof machine casings, though, we need a weird metal here. We need maraging steel, 300. But not 300 of them. That's just what metal is called. Alright. Go ahead and make a pattern for that. Stainless steel frame box. I think we already have that, right? Oh, we do, yes. I don't have to automate that. Hooray. We need a metal bender to make these plates. Bending... Not bends, bending. Bends is what you get when you come out of the water too fast or something, right? And now we need to make these maraging steel ingots. So we're going to probably be making those in the alloy blast furnace. So right here, we want to make this recipe. And, oh geez, that's a lot of time for this recipe, but let's do it. And we need program circuit 15, I saw. And then, how much does this make? Steel 300. It makes, let me just... 3, 4, 5, 6 divided by 144. 24 ingots. Okay. So 24. Not 124, just 24. Alright. ABS. Let's give it a quick test craft. Crafting 24. It is indeed crafting. 75 seconds instead of, how long it was gonna take. How long was it gonna take over here? 600? 10 minutes? Oh, no. Because we're at 1800 over, so we get a free overclock. So we're at, instead of 600 seconds, we're overclocked for free to IV, which is 600 divided by 4, so that's 150, and then we do a regular overclock to LUV, which is 75. And that's what we have, right? Yep, 75. Okay, cool. So those are going to cook up. I don't know how many we're going to need. Let me look at the structure. Structure needs minimum 40. So you know how many we're going to make? That's right, we're going to make 40. But I want this to go ahead and finish crafting so that it doesn't overcraft a bunch of these. I don't know what else these are used for. Okay, it's also used for the metal bender, compressor, forming press, forge hammer, and wire mill, so we probably can't really craft too many of them. Yep, all done with those. Nice. Yay, that's not a quest, of course. Alright, let's go ahead and stress-proof casing. Let's make 40 of those. It's got to craft a lot of maraging steel, though, so that's going to take a couple minutes. I'm just going to work on preparing other things for that while that runs. We can do, for example, the IB energy hatch. Oh, we need PIC wafers. You know what else we want to make? Hold on. while we're on the topic of it, let me put the wafers to go first. So wafer, phosphorus doped wafer. Let me just take like 12 of them. This is brown lens, if I recall correctly. The other thing we want to make is an engraver. So let's put this on our radar as well. Having both of these automated would be amazing. So we need tantalum carbide, titanium tungsten carbide. So we already have this, titanium tungsten carbide, but I don't think we need it as an ingot for basically any reason. Well, we don't need it as like a dust, right? Because this requires tungsten carbide and then another titanium carbide. So it's like a multi-step mixing process to get to that. But we can just make it in here, which is, oh. Never mind, we still need to make the tungsten carbide and the titanium carbide. That's annoying. But guess what? We already have both of those made. We could combine them again to make the titanium tungsten carbide, and then we could cook that in the EBF. But why do that when we can just do this? So we can do this. It's going to be program circuit 12. And this is 3 ingots worth. So 3. Plop. ABS. Isn't that amazing? Don't need to mess with the EBF and such. That just like does all of the steps for us. All right, so laser safe engraver. How many of these do we need? Minimum 50. Yikes. Okay, that's gonna kind of cost a lot. I'm pretty sure we already have titanium frame box. So there we go. We need to automate the plates of these. Bending. And then laser safe engraver 50. That's gonna take a minute, I'm sure, but it'll be worth it. So those are done, those are done. What else did we need for this? Molybdenum disilicate spring. Cool, I love that material. Disilicide? We do actually have that already crafted, so... Or crafting. Something makes it, right? I'm gonna step away for one moment. Okay, sorry about that. Had to go take care of some things, so some of our crafts here might be done. Looks like the titanium tungsten carbide ingots. What a mouthful. That's still going. But anyways, we were looking at... We needed these springs. Do we need these springs for anything else? Yeah, we need these springs for a lot of things. We might as well automate them. We already have the long springs automated, so let's just go ahead and automate the rest of the step there. Bending. Okay, and now what else do we need to make this here? I'm in the wrong terminal here. So we can make the pistons, we can make the springs. Large ultimate item pipes. Okay, ultimate item pipes. Do we use those for anything else? We don't. So let's just make 2 of those. Ultimate. Those take 6 plates each, right? So let's make 12 plates. This is one of those materials we could definitely throw into the alloy blast furnace. Let me see here. Liquid ultimate. Aha, yeah, see, molten ultimate from this step here. And we would get some free overclock, so this should be considerably faster than going and mixing it and then doing all this other stuff. And ultimate dust, I don't think it's used for... That is not the correct metal there. This one is not used for anything else, right? Nope. So we can take, let's get ultimate the ingots. Let's take those out of the EBF. Take those out of the mixer because we don't need either recipe if we use the ABS. And then here, ultimate. We're going to be using this recipe, and it makes 9 ingots worth. And what was the fluid? My bad. 14. Circuit. 14. And then we make 9 ingots. Go ahead and give that a test craft. See if we can get over there before it finishes crafting. Yeah, only 18 seconds to make 9 ingots. That is pretty nice. I don't know how long it would take in our regular EBF. So one is the same energy and heat requirement, but it is 4.420 EU. So yeah, 2821920 divided by about 418,000. Yeah, so once again, a significant markdown in the amount of energy cost. I'd love to see that. All right. Go ahead and turn these into the large pipes. And then go ahead and turn that into our extruder. Though we need to also make the actual extruder here, which means we're going to need that stuff, and we're going to need a some RTM alloy wires. So RTM alloy wires, I think it said we needed 4 of these, so we need a total of 8 of these. RTM alloy, is that something we want to put in the ABS as well? Molten RTM? I mean, yeah, we could. I'm a little wary of putting too many things over there though, because then that machine's going to become a bottleneck. You know, we don't have it set up in parallel mode like we do with the other machine. Also, one quick curiosity: if I go over here and I flip this muffler hatch upside down, is the structure invalid? Oh, the structure is formed. That's interesting. So that means we could have another RBF like upside down on top of this one. Or, well, more realistically, we would want to share some of these coils because the coils are kind of expensive, but kind of interesting. All right, I didn't actually request these wires. Whoops. Oh yeah, it's got to do the mixing too. You know, we might as well change RTM over. So let's go ahead and do this recipe as well. It's going to be circuit 13, and it's going to be 7 dusts. 7 ingots, okay. So RTM, alloy ingot, 7 of these. And then circuit 13, I said, right? Really got to check, because if you put a wrong circuit, you're just going to break everything. And RTM alloy dust, is that used for anything else? That is literally not used for anything else. So, oh, sorry about that. One of my noodles decided to let out a yap. Yeah, why did you yap? I know, right? She's just staring at me like, huh? What are you saying? What are these words, human? Anyways, hopefully she doesn't yap again. RTM. We want the ingots, and we want the dust. And the rest we can keep, because that's stuff that uses RTM. And now RTM we can make in our alloy blast furnace. Heck yeah. In increments of 7. Anyways, RTM wires, let's go ahead and combine those into that, and now we can make our extruder. There we go, there's our extruder, and then there is... Oh. Buddy. We I guess we spent the circuit on the actual extruder itself. Oh, you know what? I forgot to mention. I had also automated these advanced SMD components, but I don't think we can use them yet because you got to do all or nothing on these, and I think there's one of them that we can't make yet. Which one was it? Oops. HSS and vanadium gallium, okay. Platinum and graphene, okay. HSSE. HSSE we could make pretty easily in our alloy blast furnace. I should probably do that. I'll do that off camera. I'm going to upgrade all of our circuit assembly recipes to use those where they are applicable, just because they actually speed up the recipe crafting significantly. So I will be doing that, but I'll probably do that off camera. Let's go ahead and get the large extrusion machine made. Heck yeah, there we go. Here it is. What are these called? The casings that go with this? Stress proof. Alright, there we go. Here's our large extruder. I'm probably just going to toss it, like, over here. There we go. That's what the large extruder machine looks like. Oh, wait a second. It's buried in the ground, isn't it? Alright, cool. There's going to be our next multi-block. It's kind of like a boot. Alright, well, I'm going to probably work on... Oh gosh, where's the bottom of this thing? Where's our basement? It's right at the edge of our basement here. I'm probably gonna work on cleaning up some of the... just the underground, the access areas, and then I'll probably put the machine together, but we'll spend next time actually configuring it. Because configuring that's like one of my favorite things. I don't know why, it's just like so satisfying to have like, alright, here's your bus with a bunch of recipes, there's another bus with a bunch of other recipes, etc. So, something to look forward to. If you're enjoying the series, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. And also, I will have the large engraving machine ready to go as well. With that said, thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.